Welcome to Jungle, the definitive podcast for junglists looking to dig deeper behind the scenes. Brought to you by Community Insiders, the show documents the sonic evolution of the genre, looking back to its past, decoding the present, and predicting the future. I'm Tormund, I'm your host, and today we are speaking with the one, the only, Aselio. All right, so we have Aselio here with us today on the podcast. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor to have you here. We run in the same circles.
Yes, sir.
We know, and some listeners may know, that Jungle Fatigue crew often brings a lot of the folks in our scene together. So we've never collaborated musically, but we've discussed things behind the scenes before, and it's great to have you here and having a conversation with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, very excited to be here. It's been a long time coming. So yeah, just happy to be here.
Well, we can jump right in. I'm wondering if you could let us know a bit about your history as a producer and how you got to jungle and atmospheric jungle and what sort of brought you to your sound.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll take it way back to get started. I began playing music when I was 10 years old as a trumpet player, right? So growing up, I did everything from, jazz to classical music. Lifelong music fan, or music nerd, I should say. Funny enough, I wasn't actually really into the whole producing or writing music growing up.
Okay.
Just into playing. I had taken classes at school for writing music and music theory, and they had us using like notation softwares like Finale, and they had us on a light version of Pro Tools, but didn't play piano at that time, so it never really clicked with me. I kind of struggled to navigate through these softwares. But during COVID, we all know there was nowhere to play live. I sort of found myself, with a copy of Cubase Elements and decided to start giving music production, a shot. At that time, I was just kind of making random tunes. I started to get into like UK Garage, Todd Edwards, Klaus Fien, or, some big early inspirations for me. But one day I was just chilling on YouTube, listening to music, and I got a suggestion for the tune Circles by Adam F. Very famous tune. But it took me down a, rabbit hole that I'm still following today here on the jungle and drum and bass scene. I ended up watching some tutorials like, how to make this. I honestly didn't even know what it was at the time. I called it like breakbeat, I looked it up. Yeah. I'm like, how to make breakbeat music, like, Circles by Adam F, and kind of found myself with the Jungle sample pack and a $50 Korg M1 VST that was on sale. I decided to take that shot, and I recorded my first ever EP called Whispers, which has a tune called Midnight Noir that you may be familiar with.
I certainly am. Definitely one of your bigger tunes. Because that was featured on one of the Jungle Fatigue ones, correct?
Yeah, that number was Fatigue number 2, and then it was also on 4 AM Breaks video back in the day. Yes. That was kind of like the original original breakout there.
Yeah, 4 AM Breaks has been mentioned on this podcast a few times. I'm hoping to speak with him in an episode.
Mr. Thoughtforms, the GOAT, absolutely.
Mr. Thoughtforms. It's been a great progenitor for exposing this jungle revival sound, and especially the ambient and atmospheric side of things.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you.
But I mean, the Jungle sample pack and the Korg M1 VST, I mean, that's really all you need to get started.
Hey, it's bread and butter. It's, you've got, I'm a Rumbler guy. Absolutely love Rumbler. So you have so much to choose from, sounds that just work, that fit in the mix. And, you can't go wrong with a little jungle action, especially when you're first getting started. It's got everything you need.
Absolutely. It's got breaks. It's got atmosphere, it's got melodies, it's got bass, it's got everything.
Fun little vocal samples. It's got a little bit of everything. I love it.
So, getting started in the pandemic, what sort of music were you involved with before, you were kind of in lockdown and you went in this rabbit hole?
Yeah, so before the pandemic and everything, growing up, of course, I listened to hip hop, listened to rock and roll, little bit of everything. Of course, I was a jazz guy, jazz trumpet, super into like Arturo Sandoval, Wynton Marsalis.
Hmm.
But during lockdown, of course, I was, living in an apartment in Philadelphia at the time. It's kind of hard to play trumpet without bugging all of your neighbors, and they were all at home too. So I didn't want to ruin their vibes with some loud brass. And yeah, it was just kind of coincidental, honestly speaking. I was sort of taking my first walk down the EDM path, just making those, four to the floor garage and house beats, and just was really, really obsessed with it. Absolutely obsessed. I can't state that enough.
Yeah.
And just it was all happenstance. Just heard drum and bass, and it's really the first time, especially the tune circles. It's so jazzy. It's
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah.
with that stand up
Smooth.
bass at the beginning. It's
Yeah.
absolutely iconic. And it just captured my attention, and I just had to learn more about it.
Yeah. I think for me, it was Chameleon that I heard that was like really did that for me around the same time. And,
Oh, nice, nice.
I had this sort of atmospheric jungle. It instantly like brought back this nostalgia to me for,
Oh yeah.
video games and media when I was younger. And I was like, ooh, I know that sound, but I didn't know the artists and the tracks. And so I went in
Uh
this
huh.
rabbit hole, finding them, collecting them, and getting immersed in that sound.
I think the drum and bass and jungle scene, it really lends itself well to traditional musicians. I think it's just it's such a nice backing track a lot of the time to just have the nice pads, the fast breaks, and then do something melodic over top of it.
Oh yeah,
Whether it be laying down a riff on your synth, or actually recording some woodwind or brass into it. I think the genre lends itself well to that sound.
yeah. It's a very musical electronic
Oh
genre,
yeah. Oh
and
yeah. Oh yeah.
there's a great track by Andre 3000
Oh
of
okay.
Outkast on the Love Below record, and it's inspired by Coltrane's My
Hmm.
Favorite Things. But
Oh
he
yeah.
puts really fast bebop like stand up bass behind it, and then there's like jungle hip hop breaks going on behind it as well. And it's kind of a fusion of all these
Interesting.
things, like straight traditional bebop, hip
Uh-huh.
hop, and jungle sort of all in one. It's a great touching stone for me because I listened to that album when it came out, and that's sort of one of those times I knew that sound, but I didn't know where it came from or what it was really.
Uh-huh. No, that's awesome. That's a tune I don't know off the top of my head, but once we're off this interview, I'm absolutely listening to that right away.
Shifting gears here, how has any local culture influenced your work? Do we have a jungle scene in Philly? I know you said you're in New York now, and there must be a scene there, I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah.
When you were getting into the scene, was there local artists or anything around that was able to connect with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, that's kind of something that really helped kickstart my interest into jungle and drum and bass. So around this, same time around COVID, I was 21 at the time, and just started to, get interested in clubbing and, seeing local shows. I was attending Temple University in Philadelphia at the time, and just a few blocks from where I was living, there was a really cool spot called the Warehouse on Watts. Amazing place. They're still up and operating now. Always stop by when I'm back in town. But I found it because I was looking up. I'm like, where can I hear like drum and bass in Philadelphia? Or I was a total noob to the scene. I had no idea what to do or what to look for, and came across them, and they were hosting an event called Rainforest.
Oh,
I decided, I dragged all my friends. I said, hey, this Friday night, we're going to go to one of these things and check it out. And it was a really cool, it was on their, like their bottom floor, dance floor, which was just like a small bar, stage, laser lights, fog machines, really intimate space. And the music they were playing was this really cool, like melodic and ethereal jungle that I like to say still kind of influences the music that I make now. I had really just fallen in love with that sound, and those nights were just like they were. It's so different from the rest of the music that you hear. Whether you go to like a typical concert or something, it's very, very immersive.
Yes.
You really you fall into a trance on the dance floor, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. and you're like, oh shit, I've been here for hours and hours. What happened to the time?
Yeah.
But yeah, those early vibes, they still have an impact on what I do today and the vibe that I try to chase and show to people.
Do you have a pinpoint for that sound from a certain producer, or maybe there's a DJ like taste selector that really like inspires and pushes your sound?
Yeah, I mean, as far as inspiration from producers, some of my just favorites from the beginning till now, Omni Trio,
Hmm.
absolutely amazing sound.
Yeah.
Tunes like Higher Ground, just with that beautiful melodic piano. I love it. Greenfly, another
Oh,
guy
I
who
love Greenfly.
did the original Greenfly album. Dude, it's crazy. I believe S Axis is one of the tunes from that album that
Yes.
still is just like pure atmosphere. And then I believe there's another tune, Music Has a Voice. There was a remix to that tune. It's like a really cool soulful tune that I still love. But as far as like number one, someone who's always been an influence to me would have to be Nucky.
Oh, sure.
One of the first CDs I ever got was "In at the Deep End" by Nookie, which is that classic jazzy sound.
Right.
Again, can't emphasize it enough. It's right down my alley. As somebody that grew up playing jazz trumpet, I did big bands, Dixieland bands, jazz fusion, cool jazz, blues. It's right down my alley. It's a sound I love, and it's something that kind of comes naturally to me. Like whenever I'm producing, especially on like jazzy tunes, like all the melodic work for me is just I record improv solo after improv solo, and then I just pick the one that I want to keep at the end, and I've it's just kind of that jazzy vibe. It's what inspires me.
Are you playing in these improvised solos through keyboard, or do you have
Yep.
some other MIDI device?
Yeah, so mostly on keyboard. That's where I shred. I absolutely love love improv on piano. But then I also have an Iwi,
Oh yeah,
electronic wind instrument.
yeah. I have one too.
Yeah, dude, they're fantastic.
Very
So
cool.
I love messing around on the Iwi. I have like I almost like play differently if I'm doing improv on a wind instrument versus
Oh yeah,
keyboard.
yeah. I
So
feel like there's a lot
if I'm
more
like,
sustain in mind.
yeah.
Notes sort of slurred.
Yep. So if I'm ever like, oh, this vibe isn't quite working, I'll go ahead, plug in the eWii, give that a shot, and then usually something works out.
That's great. That's a cool piece of background.
Yeah.
What kind of keyboard are you using for your MIDI? Is it a Native Instruments or a Arturia or M Audio?
Great question. So when it comes to this is kind of weird. Some people hate them, some people love them. I love mini keys for shredding. I have a
Hmm.
micro Korg
Hmm.
that I have plugged in, and honestly is my main. I guess I don't want to sound like I have a different keyboard for different things, but I like it for like if I'm doing a monophonic sound and I'm shredding, I like to mess around on the mini keys. As far as the like playing chords, just laying down bass lines and stuff. I do prefer full side keys. I have a what the heck is it called? It's whatever the Native Instruments one is, MIDI keyboard. I forget if it's like an MK4 or something.
Yes,
I'd have to go look at the other
an
side of my
M
room.
something. I
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I'm actually the opposite. I'm a
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I have
Interesting.
a mini key from the Native Instruments M32. Uh,
Okay.
and for me, that's what I use for chords. I have small hands, so it's easier to hit chords, especially with extensions. Um,
Yep.
and then for soloing, I have a Roland JP 8000 that I
Ooh.
use the MIDI function for. Actually, sadly, its output capacitor is dying on the left channel, so I need to get that
Yep.
fixed. So I can't actually record analog from direct output, but I can use it as a MIDI keyboard. And the way the keys are from that 90s Roland key bed is just so smooth to me for
Yep.
ripping through solos. So anytime I do something fast or melismatic, it's happening on the Roland.
I gotta say I am jealous of the JP. That's a beautiful keyboard.
I
I
uh, I was able to find it on Craigslist in 2015 before it
oh
really blew
before it
up.
got
It was kind of
popular.
a
Yeah.
sleeper synth at that point, and I got it for $250.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah.
That was I should have like I we were talking about this a little bit pre-recording, but the Phantom series, like the Roland Phantom X series from the 2000s,
Yeah.
that was not terribly expensive a couple years back, but it's hot now.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, damn, I should have got a great key bed from what I hear. I would love just a full workstation to have, throw it under my desk and
Yeah.
just go to town on it. Because I do love the like the old school workstations. Back in when I was in high school, the school actually had a Korg L1W,
Oh, very cool.
which funny enough I hated at the time because it had the little joystick pitch and mod wheel, and I
Yeah.
was like, this thing's stupid. I can't stand this thing. But I realized the errors of my ways. It was a beast, and I took it for granted. So
That's great that you had that experience to play around with that. And
right,
do you feel
right.
like, in terms, I mean, we're talking about these keyboards and everything. If you were new to getting into the scene as a producer, whether for
Uh,
jungle or any other sort of EDM, would you think that that's like an essential piece of gear to pick up? Is a MIDI input device, whether that's a keyboard or even just some knobs and faders?
yeah. So I always like the way I look at it, I think if you learn music first, like playing an instrument, the production aspect will come a little bit easier
Hmm.
to you. I think if
Absolutely.
you understand it fully. So like anytime someone's like, oh, I want to get started like playing piano, or if they're like, I want to start producing, I'm like, funny enough, the best thing you could probably do is, go to a local music store and get like a nursery rhyme book
Yeah,
and start teaching yourself just
for sure.
super, super basic piano, get rhythm down, kind of understand what it's like to play a song, and it'll go a long way. But whether you have a MIDI keyboard, whether you have anything really, I think the number one thing to do is just do something. There's so many people that they're like, oh, I'm interested in this, but I don't know where to start. I think just doing something is important. Just go ahead, get GarageBand up on your computer if you're a Mac guy.
Yes.
Get a free DAW, get a cracked DAW, whatever it is. Just do something. Start making 4-bar loops. If you want to do jungle, download Jungle. Start messing around with the samples. Just as long as you're doing something, I think that's the best thing you can do. Just don't get trapped in the I should do it, but I don't know where to start. Don't get
Yeah.
trapped there. As long as you're making some sort of progress and having fun, of course, that's the most important
Right.
part.
Having fun is always number one.
Yeah, that's the best thing you can do.
And to that, I would add, just go do it, like you're saying, but also don't get caught up in, oh, it doesn't sound right yet, or it doesn't sound
Oh
like
yeah,
the
don't worry
pros
about that.
yet. You just, because I went through that phase, you went through that phase. I know anyone I
Yep,
talk
yep.
to on this show is going to have gone through that phase where you just have to reach that point where you say, okay, I have to let someone else listen to this. And so you
Oh
show
yeah.
your friend, or you show your mom, or you show your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, or
Yep.
whoever. And then, that just gives you a little bit of a boost. And then you say, okay, I'm going to post this on SoundCloud, or I'm going to post this on
Uh-huh.
Bandcamp. And from there, it's really
Yeah,
just
dude.
about sharing it. Right. And that's the only way people are
It's
going to
the
hear your music,
community.
is if you share it with them.
The community, and it's so important too. It's so important to just connect with the community. Don't be like, oh, I made this tune, now I need to submit it to these playlists, do this, do that. Most important thing, dude, like you were saying, like when I was first starting making tunes and like being like, yeah, this is what I do. I'd have my friends over on Friday. I'm like, yo, everybody into my room, like listen to this tune I just made, and just
Yeah,
get feedback on it.
absolutely.
I would, yeah, I would. When I first started uploading to a platform, I actually would do it on Newgrounds. So a little bit of that Philadelphia connection there. Big shout out. They had an audio portal that had all sorts of like review for review, and you could leave comments on each other and make new friends. And this is when I was posting like all sorts of random tunes, remixes, house,
Yes.
techno, blah blah blah, whatever it is. But there was always people to talk with and just to share with. And they did. I don't know if they still do them, but they would do contests where you would
Hmm.
submit a tune that fits a certain theme. And then they would have judges that would come and give you like true feedback on your tune. They would take the time to listen through it, tell you what they liked, tell you what they didn't like. And it was all very like uplifting and would help people really develop themselves as a producer. So I don't think you get that kind of that nurture if you're not part of a community. And it's so important just, just to reach out and try to make those connections.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. And, for me, that community was the Jungle Fatigue crew.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's really cool. I didn't know that Newgrounds had those little contests and the
Yeah,
feedback.
right. You'd think it's just like mostly like flash games and like
Yeah,
old Ego Raptor
videos.
videos, but like it's I think it was like the most hidden part of that website too.
Wow.
But they would let you like share like what type of gear you used for your tune. It's just really cool. So if they're still up and running, like give that a shot.
Were you releasing as Aselio back then, or were you using a different name?
That's funny. The usernames comes from it. What on Newgrounds it was Accel _yo. Like
Okay.
yo, it's Aselio.
Yeah.
But yeah, it comes from Accel _yo. When I started to release tunes, I was like, maybe the underscores not good for
Mhm.
like SEO or whatever. Right. And I was like, I think Aselio, like IO at the end, it sounds cool. It's kind of like accelerate, fast music here doing drum and bass. And I don't know. I kind of thought like, hey, this rolls off the tongue. Oh, I think I'll keep it.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool name, and it does have I don't know, sort of an international feel to it.
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw it, I assumed it was European, but it is kind of really accessible and memorable. So I think that was a good choice to
Appreciate
change that.
that. Yeah, right. No need for the underscore.
Speaking of uploading and getting music out there, you have a new release coming out on July 11th, correct?
That's correct. July 11th. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
this episode may be coming out just before then or just after then, but we will be in the time frame, in the window.
Yeah.
So everyone
Yeah.
take a chance to check out.
It's called Tales of the East Coast, and it's actually my first full-length album.
Oh.
So,
Congrats.
yeah, I got volume 7 of the Atmospheric Jungle Drum and Bass series. Number 7 had to do 7 tunes for it. So, very excited to have a full kind of coherent album come out. I have been getting a lot of requests for it. Since last year, I had tunes come out in a game called Straftat. I definitely butchered how that should be pronounced, but I'm American, so we'll go with it. And yeah, no, I had some tunes in that game that people just really fell in love with, and I had a whole new crowd come through. So people have been requesting and requesting. Oh, let's try full length album, and I thought, what? Let me just buckle down and get it done. Give the people what they want for
People what they want. That's right.
right. Absolutely. I'm very happy with it. It's kind of like a storytelling album. It's all about the kind of theme of the East Coast metropolis, Boston, Philadelphia, New York City. It's just kind of got a lot of inspiration from local things. Like I've got a tune called Keystone, of course, a nod to Philadelphia, very inspired by the soul and disco feel, of the city. Got a tune called Blue Note featuring Roots G, who you guys know. He does a really, really cool piano solo on it. But of course, Blue Note is a nod to the Blue Note Jazz Club over on West 4th Street in Manhattan. So the whole album kind of, walks you through those East Coast vibes that I just think are so unique to the area. That jazzy, that soulful, that cool vibe that I think you can't really find anywhere else.
That's very cool. As a Boston guy myself, very excited to check that out, see what influence from the Northeast is
Yes,
eats
sir.
its way in there.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of little Easter eggs here and there. So
Awesome.
definitely keep your ears peeled while listening.
Would you say you have a favorite track from the album specifically?
So that's the hard question. It's like choosing a favorite child.
Of course.
I think That's hard. I might have to cop out and go for like two tunes here, but I'll make it short with each one. So number one, I have a tune called Spacewalk that I actually got to share with a couple DJs early for promo and some friends. It's gotten some some good love so far, so very happy with that. But it's sort of like a modern jungle roller. Combines modern production with the writing style of the classic atmospheric drum and bass feel. So,
All
of
right.
course, we've got our super jazzy chord voicings, super deep basses, the hard breaks, those icy virtual analog leads. But it's got like a cool modern like clean feel to it. And about halfway through the tune, it actually has a little bit of a switch up where it almost has like a bit of a modern like jump up percussion with like
Oh, very
a
excited
fun wobble
to
bass.
hear this.
I think it'll be really cool on dance floors, and I just super excited to see how people react to the progression of my sound. Because I think with the drum and bass scene, it's always been progressive, it's always been futuristic. So I love to try new things and just see what how people react to it. Really,
Yeah, and that drum and bass scene is really growing here in the States. It obviously in Europe has been big
yeah,
for many years now. But we're actually getting some traction here in the States, not just online, but more clubs are having drum and bass nights or even jungle nights, and
yeah.
every major city seems to have a little scene that's growing.
Oh yeah,
And so,
oh yeah.
incorporating that into sort of both worlds here, I'm sure that's gonna take off.
Yeah, dude, I'm super excited for that one. But yeah, it's I'm always focused on that mix of the old and the new. We all have things we love about the old school jungle that maybe didn't make its way into like modern dance floor jungle.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of opportunity to kind of combine the two. The second tune I had been thinking of is for choosing a favorite is the lead off tune. It's called the East Coast simply.
Hmm.
Starts like a very progressive, newer school dance floor sound, almost like trancey production. A lot of the Osiris, the Access Virus emulation, a
Hmm.
lot of really cool patches on there.
Cool.
But about halfway through, there's a flip up, and it goes straight back to that '90s vibe. I've got the do break, washy pads, little Korg M1 action.
Nice. Right back
It's
to the
just
roots.
exactly right back to the roots because you never want to, I have a lot of respect to the people that stay really true to the OG atmospheric sound. And I don't want to be like Tiestoing it, where it's like, Tiesto like was like, oh, I'm just doing the dance floor thing now, no more like OG trance. He's
Mhm.
back to it now, which is
Sure.
awesome. I'm a huge trance head, but the people that listen to the tunes, I never want to be the type of guy to disappoint and just like go totally left field and be like, oh, this is what I do now. Get used to it. you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And I think, owing to the roots, not just our own roots, but to the roots of the genre, um, is it's essential to my sound and where I draw inspiration from. But I think it's something we can't lose sight of either, because there were a lot of people who made this genre and made this culture, and not by accident.
oh
So
yeah.
we owe it to them to respect them and tribute them, the ones that came before us, whether
Oh
that's
yeah.
recently in a decade ago, or all the way back to the 90s when the sound was born. It's something that I think we should all work into keeping
Oh
in
yeah.
the music, keeping it alive.
Oh, exactly. Because you always you always got to show respect to what came before you, what really shaped the sound. So I think you're totally right on in that regard. Doesn't mean we can't try new things. Doesn't mean we
Of
can't change
course.
the production. Doesn't mean we can't push the sound. But it's the genre is what it is for a reason. You've got certain guidelines that you want to kind of follow, just to make sure that you're capturing that essence that the people really love.
And with that, that's a great reason for why I wanted to include the rewind portion of this
Yes,
podcast.
sir.
So you have selected Circles by Adam F.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
your classic track. And I'm wondering, in your mind, what does this track say to you about jungle? What makes it jungle, and what helped create the sound here in this track
Yeah,
that you
this
love?
This tune is just it is what jungle is to me. It's classy, it's cool, it's jazzy. Um, it's just a very, very well put together piece. I mean, from the classic stand up bass at the beginning to the Bob James sample of the melody, it's just got such a unique vibe to it that is so hard to replicate and is so unique. It's got style. It's got style, simply put, and that's really why I love the tune.
It does ooze style. And the interesting part about that is so much of it, in my opinion, comes from the production techniques of the time. We're still using emulators, whether it's software or even trying to track down the original gear that these guys were using back then just to get that same sound on the breakbeat. Because we have these breakbeats, but we don't have a way to process them and make them sound
Yep.
tight and crispy and any other sort of adjective you want to use for what they were doing at the time. But you're right, it is hard to recreate because
It's tough. Yeah.
they didn't have pristine access to, these sounds, and they were limited by the technology that they had. As much as it was pushing the future at the time, it's limited in our perspective, and that's what
Yeah.
helped create the sound. So I think creating or recreating something like Circles is a big challenge unless you're sitting in that same studio that Adam F was at the time.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, just I think you're right on there. We have access to so many pieces of gear, to so many samples, to so many things. It's almost like, death by option. You have too much to choose from.
Right.
But when you're just, in that studio, maybe you've got, a core Trinity and, an old Roland sampler or an Akai sampler, and it's just like, well, let's make it happen. It wasn't. You just used what you had. It wasn't. It wasn't like
Exactly.
today.
Yeah, and I think some of that style might be lost in the options that we have today.
Yep. Yeah. I think you're right on. I think you're right on.
And I think some of that comes from, um, as we say, rinsing a lot of the same sounds,
Mhm.
and just reusing that jungle pack these days, or
Yep. Yep.
um, you know, the same M1 presets or something like that will give us that same sound that you might hear in Circles or another classic track. But it's how do we use that in a new original way to keep pushing the genre forward like the originators did, and owe our respect to the OGs, but without just trying to be a knockoff.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a very tough thing for a lot of people these days because you hear so many jungle tunes that are popping off, and you're just like, oh, there's that break from Jungle Jungle, or oh, there's that 0G sample CD
Yes.
vocal that Hideki Naganuma used and everyone loves. So it's hard. I find myself like these days a lot of the sounds I create myself or the presets I use or whatever it may be. I'm trying to do things that's like new to me. I'm interested in the idea of like carving out that signature sound that's just you. So like if somebody hears it, they're like, oh, that's Matt. That's
Yeah.
an Aselio tune. I do a lot of creating loops now through one shots, and I'll chop up different like percussion samples and make a new rhythm and layer it all together to create some big sound that isn't just another aim and break that
Right.
appears on 5,000 tunes. Not to say that the aim and break's not good. I love the aim and break. It's absolutely amazing, but it can be tough. It can be tough when everybody's rinsing the same things over and over again. And like you said, like, oh, here comes, you listen to a happy hardcore tune from the 90s, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, here comes the rave M1 piano
Yeah.
stabs, and it can be a challenge.
Well, I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to ask you today. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about it. But is there anything else you want to put out there, put in the world? We got Tales of the East Coast coming out on July 11th.
Yes, sir.
So
July
where
11th,
can we
that's
find
it.
that? Bandcamp or coming
Oh,
out on
yeah.
streaming services? What's the plan?
Gonna be everywhere.
Perfect.
All the major streaming services, Bandcamp, had a lot of requests for CDs, so we're doing a CD run of it too.
Awesome.
So if you're interested in anything physical, there'll be that for you. So that's this summer, and then I also will be performing live over in Europe with the Junglist Nancy crew with my boy Rooks G. Making my way over there for a live performance. Definitely gonna have more and more of those coming up. I've for a while I was just trying to focus on producing, focus on work, but I'm kind of having a lot more fun DJing these days. So definitely don't be surprised if we've got something planned in a city near you in 2027 or 8 or whenever.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, Aselio. It's been a pleasure. I hope anyone listening checks out Tales of the East Coast.